220. Debt. Chalcedon Report number 181, September 1980. Men can disobey or disregard God's laws, but they cannot set them aside nor eliminate them. God's law forbids debts by believers for more than 6 years. The seventh year must be a Sabbath. Deuteronomy chapter 15, verses 1 to 6. As a general rule, debt must be avoided. Paul says, "Owe no man anything but to love one another." Romans chapter 13, verse 8. Solomon says, the borrower is servant or slave to the lender. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 7. Thus, debt is permitted for necessary purposes on a short-term basis, but is to be seen as something to be avoided. Debts to the unbeliever have not the same meaning. Since they are already slaves, John chapter 8, verses 31 to 36, long-term debt is no problem to them. The believer, however, having been bought with a price, is not to be the slave of men. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 23. We live, however, in an age when men believe that it is no longer necessary to obey the law of God, which is another and implicit way of saying that God is dead. Whereas earlier in the century, Christians in the United States at least restricted debt to one thing only, the purchase of a house or a farm with at least 1/4 down payment and a short-term debt. Now long-term debt and debt living for furnishings, clothing, vacations and so on is commonplace. One result is inflation. Inflation is the expansion by status fiat of money and credit. We have today the worldwide and massive debt living of civil governments and their peoples. Basic to debt living is theft. In 1935, Freeman Tilden, in A World in Debt, observed, "Inflation, whether of bank credit or paper currency, cannot be effective until the larcenous purpose is generally comprehended." In an inflationary economy, there is behind the inflationary economics a, quote, new, end quote, morality which demands that envy and theft become legal and profitable. Everyone becomes a thief. In a world of big and little thieves, the biggest thief, the state, finally destroys the little thieves before God's law finally brings destruction to the state also. The prelude to such a, quote, new, end quote, morality is the decay of humanism. The earlier phases of humanism are marked by idealism and belief in a set of humanistic principles. From 1660 to the early 1900s, humanism struggled to apply its principles, belief in the goodness, or at least moral neutrality of man, in some kind of, quote, natural, end quote, law, and the messianic nature of the state, except among anarchists and its humanistic schools, and so on. However, as humanism eroded into cynicism, its one prevailing belief came to be in the overriding reality of evil. It's a dog-eat-dog world. Anything goes. Get it while you can. And other like comments. When the late medieval humanism eroded into the, quote, Renaissance, end quote, mind, men made a show of their vices, even to claiming vices they did not possess. Machiavelli boasted, "In hypocrisy, I have long since received baptism, confirmation, and communion. In lying, I even possess a doctor's degree. Life has taught me to temper falsehood with truth, and truth with falsehood." Valeriu Marcu, Accent on Power, The Life and Times of Machiavelli, 1939, pages 281 and 282. Today, a like temper prevails. At the beginning of the 1970s, I heard a university campus comment of like character, which included the counsel, "If you're still a virgin, keep it a secret." All over the world today, nations have not only debauched their money, but even claimed that there are virtues in devaluation, which is like treating cancer as a sign of health. In the United States, the dollar remained constant, with minor fluctuations, from the early 1800s to the time of World War I. Now, with inflation, the dollar has eroded. Because inflation is a form of taxation, industry is suffering. Detroit's automobile manufacturers have not advanced the assembly line much over the days of Henry Ford and have grown weaker and fewer. American steel companies have facilities not even equal to Mexico's. The economy is near bankruptcy in the United States and all the world. On June the 27th, 1980, R.E. McMaster Jr., a friend of Chalcedon, devoted his economic weekly letter, The Reaper, to a study of the 50-year debt cycle. One could say, by way of summary, that men either take God's Sabbaths from debt or face disaster. Either the Jubilee or judgments. Take your choice. McMaster noted, in April, 1/3 of the US taxpayers were so illiquid that they couldn't pay their taxes. They couldn't even borrow to pay them. They filed returns, but enclosed no money. The Reaper, Phoenix, Arizona. As Tilden noted in 1935, evil develops delicate sensitivities to justify itself. Behind all its sinning is a supposedly good purpose and a noble cause. Judgment is treated as an insult. If you had let me alone, I would probably have paid, says the defaulter with an injured air. But now that you're trying to banter me, you won't get it. There is no sensibility so delicate and easily wounded as that of a person or a nation that knows it is in the wrong. Tilden, page 250. Meanwhile, the state's power increases, and so does its greed. The degenerate Stuart rulers of England, before their fall, had so overtaxed and overspent England that under William and Mary it reached the stage of confiscation. Tax collectors entered forcibly into the dwellings of cottagers to seize anything, including breadboards and pillows, to satisfy their exactions. Having chosen the monarchy over the Puritan Commonwealth, the English were now paying the price of their choice. We are now only beginning to pay the price of our choices. No amount of bewailing will alter the fact, nor another set of lying politicians. A root and branch faith is required. We must say with Joshua, choose you this day whom ye will serve, but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Joshua chapter 24, verse 15.